Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and but the mother has went through a wall, came home, now they can't find her.
Turn it over to another agency.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Once I told a lie, then I told my family. I had to keep lying.
But sure, I mean, is it deemed?
We haven't cleared anybody.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here for another ATS News live stream. Of course, we are deep diving into the Watts case. Let me just pull some stuff up. Chat, please let me know if you can hear me. And hit that like button while you are waiting for me to get settled. All right, so I've sent the invite to CDT. I don't know if she's going to be able to join, but if she can, it'll just be a bonus. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the secret calculator app. In the prison interview, Chris came out and he told the agents that Nicholkessinger suggested to him that he use this app to communicate with each other and so that they could hide things. And the app has been around for a long time. I never heard of it until the Watts case. You guys let me know if you've heard of it before the Watts or if you've ever used it. It pretty much, you can hide pictures, videos. It has a private web browser in it. Communications with somebody you can hide in there. And, you know, it's just kind of mysterious to me that why, if she was so adamant that they were getting separated, why would he need to hide certain things, you know? So she describes in so many interviews that he was able to talk to her whenever he needed to. He was sleeping in the basement. As far as she understood, they were not intimate together anymore. And all this stuff that kind of backs up her whole theory that, you know, she had no idea that she was pregnant and that they weren't getting a divorce. So if you know, thought that and you thought that he was separating and that things were done and over with, he's sleeping in the basement, why would you be somebody to suggest that he use a secret calculator app? The other thing that kind of confuses me about it too is if we look, oh, and thank you, Johnny, for the tea, and everyone, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to help yourself. Yes, please. Thank you, Derek. Hit that like. If there's only 29 and 104 watching, I'm worried about who's watching. And hello, Adrian. Good to see you. And of course, Valerie, it's always good to see you. Tony, everyone else who's joined, thank you so much for being here. So I am feeling a little better, guys. I can go and explain a little bit when I can, but I'm barely made it to this live stream pretty much. But, you know, the thing that confuses me is a lot of the activity in his secret calculator app that you can see in the discovery files shows in July that he's transferring photos of Nicole and him. We don't get to see what he searched. So there is a web browser. So just like Google, you can type in whatever you want. Of course, it'll explain in our history, if you looked in your Google searches, what was there. And hello, New Brunswick, good to see you. It will show in our history. And also, guys, Sherry, thank you so much for the super sticker. I was talking so much and had such a good conversation in our last Watts Live with CDT that I missed some super chats, and I'm really sorry. I'll try my best to pay more attention to chat while I'm chatting with you guys. So a lot of his activity in the secret calculator app took place in July, which confuses me that he was so active with that because Shanann was not in town. She was not in Colorado. Why did he have to, you know, transfer things to it? to keep things hidden. I don't know. It makes me really curious what that internet browser was looking up. We know that he looked up random things in the discovery, like volcanoes exploding, um, gems and crystals and stuff like that. It just, I really wonder if some of the things that were looked up in that browser have to do with the plot and the plans for, of course, that Monday possible explosion, oil leak, all that. I'm wondering if any of that would have come out. They would have gotten a subpoena for that app, and they would have been able to dig in deeper into what he was actually doing in that app. And if there was a trial, an expert from the secret calculator app would have taken the stand and would have described exactly what it is and what he was looking up. And, it's just unfortunate that it's just another mystery. So here is some of the text messages that Shanann had with her friends. This is from my documentary. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. It kind of gives a really good overview of the case. So this is where she's talking to her girlfriends, and then it describes a very long text message that she sends to Chris, Shanann sends to Chris. And then as soon as he's, done reading her text message, or as soon as he receives it, he transfers pictures of his mistress to the secret calculator app. So I'd like to just go through this a little bit, and then we can pull up the discovery pages and we can look at things that he was doing while he was also transferring things to that secret calculator app. So I want to see if there's like a pattern, because sometimes it'll show that he spoke to Shanann and then they held a 10-minute conversation or whatever, and then he transfers things to the secret calculator app. It's just kind of simultaneously we'll see stuff like that. So I just want to look at the patterns. Let's see what else. We never finished the evidence locker. We started it a couple live streams ago where we were looking at them laying out the evidence and the with the body cam footage of the evidence locker. I want to finish that tonight. And then there's also statements by the mistress where she's talking about Monday. So there's clips that we've started as well that she kind of talks about Monday, which of course is the day they were murdered. I put it in quotes because we do not have a time of death for any victim. And I think that that's important to remember, because we only have a theory that the district attorney gave to us. We don't have, what the defense team would have counter argued with their medical examiner and their autopsy results, etc. So we're just going to go through and hello, Stasia, it's good to see you. And we're going to listen to NK's statements about Monday, what she remembers taking place on that day. We need to talk about NK putting a tracker on his phone. Refresh my memory there. When she was like listening in. Okay, let me start this and we'll get back to all that.
They read as followed. I just can't. Kids in bed. I took a night shower. Means I want sex, and he knows it. He's over here doing effing push-up challenge. Instead of discussing anything or effing me, I'm over here crying in silence. Girls, stop him and tell him don't cry in silence. That's not good for your baby. Before I left, he said, be ready when I get there. You won't be able to walk. Do you think is because
she said that she wouldn't want to try. It's because, Colorado just price of living there was a lot higher than North Carolina.
The following are random text messages between Shanann and her friends, describing what was going on between her and Chris as soon as he arrived in North Carolina. They read as followed. I just can't. Kids in bed. I took a night shower. Means I want sex, and he knows it. He's over here doing effing push-up challenge. Instead of discussing anything or effing me, I'm over here crying in silence. Girls, stop him and tell him don't cry in silence. That's not good for your baby. Before I left, he said, be ready when I get there. You won't be able to walk. Do you think is because where you guys are at? We are alone in a beach house. Oh, you really need to have a heart-to-heart convo. I did earlier about why he won't having sex with you. Did you look through the phone? Did you ask if there was someone? He said last night opposites attract, but this isn't working anymore. I did. He denied. No, I didn't look. He's deleting messages from his dad. I'm sure he's not that stupid. Why is he deleting messages from his dad? This makes no sense. Any of this. It's not Chris. He loves and adores you. At beach, they wanted to see him and kids, and he told him he couldn't break away, when that was a lie. I told him 3 times to go, but kids were not going. He said, no, I want to be with kids. He took our pic off his phone and put up sand dunes. Noticed when he arrived. What the hell? Why would he take your guys' pic off? That's unlike him. He said pic was cool. He doesn't wear wedding ring because it doesn't fit. We don't wear ours because of that. And after an update I did on the phone, I never put the pics of us back on till months later. But he removed our pic. Yeah, now that's strange. Chris told me last night he's scared to death about this third baby, and he's happy with just Bella and Celeste and doesn't want another baby. He's just scared. Everything will be fun once the baby comes. Addie, he has changed. I don't know who he is. What do you mean? He hasn't touched me all week, kissed me, talked to me except for when I'm trying to figure out what is wrong. He's been distant since I left. Records show a text message from Shanann to Chris that reads, you don't see you or how you're treating me. 8 years of love and you're treating me horribly. I fell deeper in love with you this summer. You fell out. That's not love. Love falls deeper in love when apart, not out. You don't love me or have a horrible way of showing it. You haven't fought for me this week. It's only the kids. After this text message, court records show that Chris transferred an image of his mistress into his secret calculator app, which is an app that allows you to have a discreet and secretive place to transfer photos and even have a private internet browser.
Okay, so like I said, after she sends him that text message where she's saying, I don't think you realize, how you're treating me. This time apart, I fell deeper in love with you. It seems like you've done the opposite. He transfers photos of NK to the calculator app. So here we've looked up the word calculator in discovery files, and we can just go through and see everything in and around that word. So during my review of the data extracted from the phones belonging to Chris Watts and Shanann Watts and Nicole Kessinger, certain information was learned. Agent Darren Ford conducted logical extractions. Give me 1 second. I'm going to turn my camera off. Okay. Of the data from these phones. In conversations with Ford, he advised the Northern Colorado Forensics Laboratory does not possess technology to form physical data extractions from Apple devices. Thus, I discovered the extracted data is not inclusive of all data stored amongst the assorted applications within a given device, nor does activity involving those applications necessarily reflect the data extracted. So basically, it's saying not only is the stuff that they did at their this I think is someone from Greeley Police Department. So this is local resources, and he's saying that they need further expertise to kind of extract things from Apple devices. And not only that, what they can extract from this device is not able to really pull things from that secret calculator app. So that's why I was saying earlier, if this investigation went deeper and further and they went to trial, they would have subpoenaed and gotten a warrant for the secret calculator app itself. And somebody from there, just like we've seen in the Murdoch case, from like they did with the Snapchat, somebody would have said, I work at the secret calculator app. I'm a I don't know, software engineer, developer, whatever, from the secret calculator app. And we were able to pull the data from their iCloud because everything gets stored to a cloud. There's some form of history that the secret calculator app would have been able to present at trial. So what they did with the resources they had couldn't really get much from it. So it says, for example, Watts had a secret calculator application uploaded to his personal phone. This application, by all appearances, is an operable calculator. So it gives the appearance when you look at somebody's phone that it's just a calculator. It kind of is supposed to be like discreet, secretive, obviously. When the user enters a secret passcode, the application reveals its true purpose: a concealed storage device for photographs, videos, contacts, even a private browser. In mid-July 2018, Watts began transferring images from his camera application into the secret calculator application. This activity is not reflected within phone's timeline. Locating those transferred images proved challenging and was predicted on mere curiosity. I searched through the images stored within the data files featured in the Celebrite report from item 41. So Celebrite is like the resource that they use to extract data. So locating an image not highlighted in the timeline, I reviewed the path within the file information and noticed it included the word secret calculator. Using the find feature, I searched the 12,000 images stored in the phone's memory using the keyword secret calculator. I located a vast collection of images otherwise undetected during my review that are stored within the application. In the near future, a follow-up warrant, see, this is explaining exactly what I just said. A follow-up warrant will be sought to manually search through this phone and access the secret calculator. That search will include any additional photographs or videos, any browser activity, and information related to the installation date. Amongst the other installed applications found on this phone, I suggest the same warrant seek permission to manually inspect the alarm clock, Apple Watch, and Vivint applications. So for those who don't know, the Vivint is the home security system that they used. It would describe, activity that took place, which we know there was activity that was taking place because both Shanann and Chris's phones showed an alert for certain things that were happening, like a basement door was left open. The garage door was left open. Both doors were closed by the time police get there with the body cam. So again, he leaves for work. Both Shanann and Watt's phone show Vivint alerts, and they're saying, you left this door open. You left the basement door open. And when he gets home, they're both closed. He's brought that up numerous times to numerous cops. Nothing gets done about it. And the Vivint records end up being sealed. So we never get to see those records, just like we're never going to get to see the private browser and everything that was taking place in this secret calculator. So let's see, what else does this say? So this just goes on to talk about the data, which couldn't really be pulled. I want to see mostly stuff that he was doing with the secret calculator while we see a timeline with other things. So we read that. All right, let's go here. Of course. Bear with me while I go through these pages, guys. It's not the easiest website to kind of click through, the discovery, because when you try to go back, it just takes you back to the very beginning. I'm not trying to lose our spot. All right, so okay, we saw that. Okay, this. Shanann and Watts exchanged several calls, holding nearly 33 minutes in conversations. Shanann called Watts and held a 5.5-minute conversation. This is mid-July, so July 17th. She is in North Carolina, of course. I'm just checking chat because I don't want to miss anything important while I'm reading. So if I'm missing something, just bear with me to check back because I'm reading on the other tab. And hello, everyone who has joined us. Watts took several images of trees and grassland flowers in an open prairie just north of Rogan. Watts took a photograph of his new work shoes. So this new work shoes thing has always been sort of a mystery. And it basically says right here, new work boots, identical to those found in the Lexus during that search. So they weren't just found in the Lexus, they were found in the cargo department. So remember when they looked through, we did it on actually a bunch of lives ago at this point. And hello, Lisa, good to see you. They open the trunk and we don't see them because is a latch that you can lift. So imagine a trunk of an SUV, the floor of it has a latch you lift up, and underneath is a whole other compartment. So some have that in their trunks and it has the spare tire under there. Some have it and it's just a little compartment that you can store more things. So that's what the Lexus had. For some reason, he had new work boots in that area. So that's where the whole theory that I have that like possibly he was going to ask Shanann to drive the Lexus out there and, you know, bring him his new work boots because he spilled oil on the ones he's wearing. He told Tammy he likes to carry extra clothing in his truck because he spilled oil on himself one day and he had a headache for weeks. So that, of course, that's a theory, but it's just kind of interesting. You know, in July, he's taking pictures of new work boots. Like, why exactly would you be doing that? And then, of course, putting them in the Lexus. This is in July. So it's just kind of weird, isn't it? That he has new work boots and they're identical to the ones found in the cargo compartment. July 18th, Watts answered a call from Shanann and held 4-minute conversation. Watts called Shanann and held a nearly 4-minute conversation after that. Here's a timeline, guys. It's military time. So as I'm reading it, if you need to reference like what time, this is the time. 09:45 hours. For the first time, Watts transferred assorted images of Kessinger, some semi-nude, into the secret calculator application. Certain images were taken by Watts as evidenced by his reflection in the mirror in the background. So mid-July, July 18th, that's when he starts doing the first transfers to that calculator app. And this, of course, is the same day that he, you know, spoke to Shanann on the phone. Hours later, he's transferring semi-nude pictures of NK into the app. All right. So let's search the word calculator again. See what comes up. And guys, you can do this yourself. Like some people are like, how do I get the discovery files? It's right on Google. And you can just type in words and just see like what pops up. That's what CDT and I have been doing for years. All right, so we got that. There's another page. Oh, wait, no, I already read that. July 21st, Watts and Kessinger went to Bandemere and the Rooftop Tavern in Moffisan, Colorado. I think this is the Speedway, Bandemere. I don't know why it's called Bandemere. I don't know. But that's where they go. They go to a rooftop tavern. Shanann called Watts and held a 20-minute conversation. Watts transferred him again as soon as he gets off the phone. Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say as soon as he gets off the phone. But it's just interesting to see, you know, they talk on the phone, Shanann and him, and then, you know, he's transferring images of Kessinger to the secret calculator. Not found in Watts' phone, he sent to Shanann, headed out to the track, boo. We'll text you when I get there. So when it says not found in Watts' phone, he deleted it. So why is he deleting messages to his own wife? Well, because Nicole could see possibly him calling his wife Boo. So again, not only is Chris hiding things from Shanann, but he is also actively deleting things to his own wife, hiding it from Nicole. So that kind of does go into the whole theory that he was kind of portraying a different story to Nicole. Again, I don't think that she was totally oblivious and clueless to, their status in their marriage, because we know that she stalked Shanann on Facebook. But to me, this sort of does appear that like Chris didn't want Nicole stumbling on him calling his own wife a pet name. So, just being a little sleazeball that he is. So the thing about the boots, Derek, is they were never used. So he bought them in July, put them in the Lexus cargo area at some point, and they were brand new, never used. And then when they did the search on the Lexus, they discovered them. So I don't know. I think that that's weird. I always had multiple work shoes, but once I kind of got like wore the ones out, I would move on to the next ones. Like it wasn't like I bought new work boots and let them like sit somewhere and never used them. Like I would always, I don't know. To me, I think that that's weird. But that's, again, everyone has a different perception. Everyone sees things differently. So it says his previous messages to Shanann likely provided a concocted ruse regarding his phone or his plans to visit the Speedway via an earlier phone call. So the detective here is kind of speculating, because Chris is telling Shanann, I'll text you when I get to the track. So Shanann knew that he was going to the Speedway. He probably said, I'm with my buddy Troy, or I'm with, who knows, Jeremy Lindstrom. Like, we don't know, but that's why the detective is saying, like, he must have concocted some ruse, some lie to Shanann about, who he was with and all that, like while they were on that phone call earlier. Using his phone, Watts filmed assorted clips of dragsters at the okay, now it spells it Bandimere Speedway. And then these are all the images and videos. Throughout this time frame, Watts Googled on topics like top fuel dragster burnout and top fuel dragster goes airborne. Watts called Shanann and held a 12-minute conversation. Shanann called him back afterwards and held an additional 14-minute conversation. Watts searched Google for Home Depot near me in Broomfield. Now, the Home Depot aspect is still a mystery in this. There's credit card charge for it around the time that he's charging for the lazy dog. So we never really get to know, the CCTV video of them at Home Depot, whoever he was with, if he was with anybody. A lot of mystery still kind of surrounding like what was bought there, etc. Unfortunately. All right, let's see what else with this calculator. July 23rd. Okay, hold on. Before we get there, we'll start off up here. Watts searched Google for Spanish dancing near me, red wine made in Argentina, and the Cheesecake Factory. Shanann called Watts and held an 18-minute conversation. She called back afterwards and held an additional 20-minute conversation. July 23rd, Shanann called Watts and held a 2-minute conversation. Watts transferred an image of Kessinger into a secret calculator application. Watts called Nicole Atkinson, Shanann's friend, briefly. So interesting. Why exactly is he calling Nicole Atkinson? Was it something Shanann said to go ahead and do? I don't know. That is very interesting to me. My husband, I don't think, thank you, CDT, and good to see you, wouldn't really. Oh, okay, no worries. Always wanted to invite you. Kind of strange to have a husband call a friend of a wife when the wife isn't in the same state. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I'm interested to know a little bit more. Just looking at chat too, guys. So I'm just kind of scrolling up and seeing what you guys are saying. Yes, I have a Watts Facebook group, and it has a lot of good screenshots and pictures and discussion in there. It's always linked in my description box. And hello, Roxanne, good to see you. Loving the new pic. All right, let me just get back to this. Shanann called Watts and held a 9-minute conversation. Watts searched Google for clean eating restaurants near me and near Erie. Watts also searched 24 Carat Bistro and Lazy Dog Restaurant. July 24th, Watts called Shanann and held a 5-minute conversation. Watts transferred a nude image of Kessinger into the secret calculator app. So Kessinger searched Google so on the same day that he's transferring images of her nude to his app, man I'm having an affair with says he will leave his wife. So this is the other thing that people were kind of confused on too. Like, if you were under the impression they were separating, is it an affair? Because she makes it seem like they're done. He's not sleeping upstairs in that bed anymore. In fact, she says something along the lines of he didn't even like that bed. It's just interesting that she's searching that as if that basically says that they're still married and she's the other woman. But when she's interviewed with police, she very much paints the picture that like, no, like I was under the impression like they're headed for a divorce. They're done. I didn't know she was pregnant, even though her Facebook pic and everything is her pregnant. And it showed that she, searched Shanann's Facebook. Shanann called Watts and held a nearly 10-minute conversation. Sandy Rusek, Shanann's mother, called Watts 12 different times, connecting on occasion, and held roughly 13 minutes of conversation. So there's something going on. He's calling Nicole Atkinson. He's talking to Shanann. He's talking to his mother-in-law. She's calling him numerous 12 different times. This is all on July 24th and around July 23rd. So all those things would have come out. What did you guys talk about? What, all that stuff. And we are left to kind of wonder, like why the urgency to call him 12 different times? Sometimes they connected. Shanann asked Watts if he was alive. Watts replied, "Tire light came on. I was leaving King's Supers last night. Got the tires aired back up. Spent a lot of time looking for anything in it. Nothing at all." You could have answered or texted back. Thought something happened, but you don't care about others' feelings, or you think you're with another girl, or worse, no consideration of others. So we've seen in text messages with her and her friends, like them say, do you think there's somebody else? And she's like, no, Chris has no game, or I don't think so. And then she starts to second guess things at times, like, well, he's been here and we haven't had sex in like 5 to 6 weeks. Like, he's not even touching me, unless there's somebody else, unless he's getting it somewhere else. So, there was gut instincts for Shanann even in July. We talked about how her friend Lauren had said something months prior, like 6 months prior to the deaths, that he's probably talking to his work girlfriend, and they laughed it off. And Lauren thought that it was sort of a joke. So there were hints and there were gut instincts that Shanann had. But sadly, Chris, being the coward he was, he never came out and said, we need to divorce. Like, I have found somebody else, blah, blah, blah. It just didn't go in that direction. All right. So this isn't much to do with the secret calculator, but we might as well finish this July 24th day. Watts searched Google for Victoria's Secret at the Orchard Town Center. Shanann told Watts, I realized during this trip what's missing in our relationship. It's only one-way emotions and feelings. I can't come back like this. I need you to meet me halfway. You don't consider others at all, nor think about others' feelings. Watts replied that he was sorry and that he loves her. Shanann responded, I try to give you space, but while you are working and living the bachelor life, I'm carrying our third and fighting with our 2 kids daily and trying to work and make money. It's not hard texting I love you and I miss you. If you don't mean it, then I get it, but we need to talk. I kept looking at my phone all night and no response from you. Like, seriously, we didn't just start dating yesterday. We've been together 8 years and have 2.5 kids together. Shanann called Watts and held a 17-minute conversation. July 25th. So remember the other thing, while I finish out this page, the other thing that Chris has been very open about is he didn't spend much time at all at his house while Shanann was gone. So when she's over here saying, you're not answering me, what's going on? I thought something bad happened to you. Like, are you alive? You can't even send, I love you and I miss you. He's likely at NK's house. And which also raises the question that we have always had is, why don't we ever get to see inside NK's apartment? They spent all summer there. There could have been things that needed to be seen. That lawyer conversation Shanann had in March showed there was major problems in their marriage. Yeah. And I had that conversation in my documentary. It's really interesting. A lot of people like tried to say like, no, that's not true. I don't believe it was Shanann that guy saw. Like, I fully believe it was. In fact, I've tracked down this exact shirt that lawyer describes her wearing at that hibachi restaurant that night. And she's in a picture with Bella in it. So in my documentary, I tried to put that on the screen with the interview playing. I think that they had issues in their marriage. I think that that's another example. Yeah, exactly. His conversations were longer with everyone but his wife. He absolutely despised her, in my opinion. I think so too. And remember, we learned from Anthony Brown, the coworker, that when she was missing, when the girls and Shanann were missing, Troy is over there talking to Anthony Brown about, well, I heard that Shanann might have been cheating on him. So there were things that were kind of brewing, I think, and being whispered into Chris's ear. True or not true, like, we will never know. We literally will never know. People can say it till they're blue in the face. She never cheated or she did cheat. We just don't know. But what is clear is, yeah, he absolutely was disconnected from that marriage. And I think that conversation with the lawyer at that hibachi restaurant shows that it went back months. And I think that also aligned with Lauren, Shanann's friend, saying that, oh, he's probably talking to his work girlfriend. I think that that is also circumstantial evidence to show that this affair was longer than 6 weeks, like Chris and Nicole try to make it seem, personally. And everyone has a different opinion, and that's totally fine. We will never know the true answers, but there's things that definitely show cracks in their marriage before they went away for North Carolina. And I think that he might have been distant for a long time because we know Nicole searched him and her in 2017, a whole year before the deaths happened. So to try to tell us that this was a 6-week affair, it doesn't explain how you knew of Chris when you're looking him up in 2017. So I think that perhaps there was a disconnect. And thank you, Derek, for gifting 5 memberships. And to the new members, welcome. So it's just, that's the thing about this case, is a lot of questions and a lot of mysteries, and everyone has different opinions on things that are presented to us. So that's my opinion about that lawyer talk at the hibachi place. And remember, she didn't meet that lawyer there to talk. They just were, when you go to a hibachi place, you sit with strangers. So they just struck up conversation, and that's when she started asking about divorce, etc. So, all right. Watts made unanswered call. Okay. Watts made an unanswered call to Shanann. 2 minutes later, Shanann called him back and held a nearly 11-minute conversation. Watts searched Google on the following topics: when to say I love you, when to say I love you for the first time in a new relationship, what do you feel when someone tells you they love you, how does it feel when someone says I love you? So I don't know, guys. Specifically men, I'm asking because I think that your guys' opinion kind of matters a little bit with this, because this is discussing a man's brain, his searches. I can understand kind of being like, when's the best time to say I love you in a new relationship? But the things like, what do you feel when someone says they love you, and how does it feel when someone says I love you? It's like, why would you need to Google that? Like, shouldn't you just know like what you're feeling? Again, I'm thinking from a woman's perspective, so that's why I'm curious. And for those on replay, comment down below, like, are these unusual searches for you guys? Shanann called Watts and held a 23-minute conversation. During that conversation, Kessinger called Watts and left a voicemail. Following an eerily disconcerting, childlike giggle, she told Watts, I miss your face. I was just calling to say hi. Call me back. Bye. Immediately after ending his call with Shanann, Watts called Kessinger briefly. Watts searched Google for sand dunes weather. Kessinger called Watts and held a 14-minute conversation. All right. Back to the calculator word. I mean, we can keep going with that whole timeline, but let's keep it to calculator talk and stuff kind of surrounding that tonight. Okay, we got that. Okay. When is this? No. Okay, so this is already in August. Let me check with chat. That horrific laugh. I know. It's terrible. Her laugh gives me nightmares. I'm learning new things in this case with the calculator. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah. And I'm glad you're here, Holly. It's good to see you. Yeah, that was something new that I'd never even heard of. But apparently these apps have been around for, over a decade. I agree, Paul. And I think that Shanann was sort of trying to say that too. Like, you don't care about other people's feelings. She said those things numerous times. He clearly was not in touch with his emotions. And that also, points to his lack of emotion when things kind of started going downhill, right? Like, it made him look very guilty, his lack of emotions. Anthony Brown said he saw NK and Chris inappropriately close sometime in March. Yep. Yeah, Anthony Brown had a lot of interesting insight. Oh, thank you, Valerie. I've been practicing a lot. Derek has never Googled that. Chase never Googled that. It is weird. Yeah, exactly. Are those searches of high schoolers? Right. That's what it sounds like. It's very like juvenile, like thought process. Like, what do you feel when someone says they love you? How do you feel when they say it? Like, it's just like, why would you need to look that up? Like, I don't know. So this is, like I said, August. Watts transferred images of Kessinger, some semi-nude selfies. So these, obviously, we've never seen these. We have the poop brown bikini pics of them. And those pics are kind of described a bit because it says that you can see Watts taking the pictures in the mirror. So we've seen some of these images, but obviously we've never seen semi-nude selfies of Kessinger. Not saying I want to. I'm just pointing out that things are like kind of left in question. Like, what? Like, what was with that? And like, why is, of course she's sending him this stuff while he's in North Carolina with his family. Yeah, the UPS, UPS bikini. Exactly. Yeah. And hello, Allison. Good to see you. And everyone else who's joined. I'm sorry. I'm like very much into the discovery pages. So I'm not looking much at chat, but I appreciate you guys being here. So August 10th, I believe at this point, yes, they're back in Colorado. And that is the day that Shanann takes off for Arizona. Watts took the day off from work and Shanann left for Arizona. Missing from Watts' phone, but found in Shanann's, she told Watts, "Good morning, honey. Sorry to make you wake up early twice today. I didn't want alarm going off. We are checked in and everything. It's already a madhouse here today. Enjoy the girls. Don't forget King Super, that's the grocery store, 10 to 11. I told Bella I was leaving for work with Nikki." Of course, that's Nicole Atkinson. "And assured her that I was always coming home." See, that kills me. They usually don't eat right away lately. "Give them lots of kisses for me. Thank you for everything last night. I miss and love you so much. I am still in shock we are having a little boy. I'm so excited and happy. I really thought it was another girl. Thank you for letting me hold you this morning. It felt good. Your letter is on the counter. Have a great time with the kiddos. They truly missed you. I love you, baby. Send me pics." So when it says also that it wasn't on Chris's phone, but it was found on Shanann's phone, it's another example, as you guys know, of Chris hiding something from Nicole in case Nicole went through his phone. Nicole could have seen something. This has also kind of led, I think, CDT and I, if she still feels the same, that perhaps Shanann and Watts were intimate. So in North Carolina, she's complaining to her girlfriends that he wasn't touching her and all this stuff. It obviously doesn't say like, "Oh my gosh, last night so steamy and hot, loved it," but it's kind of giving me like vibes that like perhaps they had like a good evening together, and she was about to leave. And what makes it even more sick is not that that's sick. It is because we know who Chris is. But to Shanann, this was just her husband. And she kind of had no idea about certain things going on. But for me, what makes it kind of turn into something very sick is if they were intimate that night before she goes away to Arizona, like Shanann's under the impression that they're sleeping together because she's about to go out of town, and like they're not around the in-laws anymore. They're not around her parents anymore. They are home private in their room bed together. She says things like, what did she say? Thank you for letting me hold you this morning. It felt good. So even if they didn't have sex, it seemed like they had some intimate time together. And again, what kind of turns my stomach is she's under the impression that that's because she's leaving and they were finally alone in their own house. And he's taking the opportunity to maybe have one last time with her, one last, session of like her holding him and stuff like that, because he knew at this point what was going to happen in a few days. And it just really makes me sick. And that letter that she says is on your counter, that was found in the trash. So he threw out the letter. The only reason why we know about it is because of this text message. And also Shanann had sent pictures of the letter to one of her girlfriends. So in my documentary, the letter is shown. And the only reason why it's shown is because the girlfriend spoke with authorities, and that's how they got like a hold of a copy. Shanann told Watts, I don't know why I feel really weak standing. I'm drinking a Gatorade and had a biscuit, getting ready to take off. What time kids wake up? Watts speculated her weakness was from a lack of sleep, so perhaps they were up late together. Again, speculation. Watts told her that Bella just woke up and Celeste was still asleep. Shanann received a calendar alert regarding her flight. So this is from her phone. Jeremy Lindstrom, apparently knowing the Watts were having a boy, congratulated Watts. Little man is a lucky boy. Watts thanked Jeremy and asked what time the birthday party was on Sunday. Jeremy said 1 p.m. Not found in Watts' phone, Shanann and Watts exchanged happy anniversary messages. So again, he's portraying like, oh, honey, happy anniversary, deleting it from his phone in case MK sees it. Shanann told Watts she just landed in Arizona. Watts asked Jeremy, do you think McKenna is available to watch the girls for a few hours tomorrow night? I won a raffle at work for a Rockies game. It's with people I don't know from work, but I haven't been to a game in a while where the kids aren't involved and only last in ins. I don't know if this is misspelled. Jeremy replied, of course, and asked which house. Watts replied, I would say my house because the girls would fall asleep easier and it would be what I'd be watching on the monitor. When asked what time, Watts said 5:30. Game starts at 6:15. So we do know that McKenna does go over there and watch the girls. We do know that that was the night that Chris and NK go to the Lazy Dog, and that's when Shanann finds the alert of $63 spent there. So, and that's also, like we talked about in our last live stream, when Chris is in the prison interview and he's talking about that night, and he says, God gave me an opportunity to get out, and I wish I would have taken it. So something significant happened that night. Let's see. Okay. Shanann searched the internet via Groupon for deals on hotels in Aspen. She sent Watts the link. A few minutes later, Watts visited the same websites, viewing hotels in Snowmoss Village in Aspen. Shanann asked Watts, if you're up to it, can you put Bella's seat back in the Lexus? She's been begging for it. Watts said he will knock it out. Watts transferred the video of Kessinger thanking him for the trip to the Great Sand Dunes into his secret calculator app. Now, again, we've seen that video. So some of the calculator app stuff we've seen, some of it we've never seen. Watts' phone connected with the home's wireless network. So the 11th of August, this is when she's in Arizona. This is the lazy dog date night. Shanann sent a message to Watts. Good morning, baby. Are the girls up? Watts replied, good morning. They're watching cartoons in bed. Shanann described the thunderstorms the night before in Arizona. Want the NFL package for this fall? She searched DirecTV package. Watts replied he wanted to see if the Fire Stick is streaming for information about that sports flash drive can save them from spending money. And Shanann said, okay, baby. Minutes later, Shanann Watts, do you, I don't know why it just drops off there. Okay, so yeah, this is where it says, do you want the NFL fall package? Some of the stuff in the discovery is out of order. Jeremy asked Watts if he would rather go with me to the Broncos. Watts lied and said he would like to, but since it's related to my job, they will ask questions if I don't go. So this is also in the prison interview where he says to the agents, Jeremy even asked me if I wanted to go watch the Broncos game, and I wish I would have gone. So here he's lying to his friend, and he's saying, you know, I got to be at that other place because it's work related. Although not found in Watts' phone, Shanann asked him, have you talked to Bella about us having a boy? Watts said not yet and added, she said when the baby comes out, she will pretend it's a girl. Shanann indicated she was laughing and said, oh my God, I love her. Watts searched Google for trails and hot springs near Aspen. Watts told Shanann, Jen, McKenna, and Kylie coming to watch the girls for a few hours while I go to the Rockies game. Shanann asked him to ensure they don't feed Celeste anything she can't eat. She also asked Watts, will you lock my office? Watts replied, definitely. Watts searched Google for Toyota dealerships nearby. So we all know who drives a Toyota. NK, in case you didn't know. All right, I think that kind of concludes anything regarding the secret calculator that at least is coming up in the search for it in the discovery. So I hope you guys found that interesting. Now we can just go, let me check with Chad, of course, and we can listen to, I know this is hard, but we can listen to NK. Everyone's always like commenting like, oh, her voice is atrocious, but I really appreciate your channel, so I'll listen. And I'm like, thank you. I thank you. You know, I appreciate you being here, even though her voice is wretched. Melissa Jade, good to see you. And Jay, hello. Good to see you. Hanging out at a football game or dinner. Yeah, exactly. And yet he regrets that. So I don't know. What does that tell you? Not what it's cracked up to be, or maybe we shouldn't open that can of worms. Having to deal with them all by myself, even with help of a babysitter, could have made it a lot easier for him to follow through with the diabolical plan. Yeah, I know. She was such a good big sister, Bella. All right, guys. So let me just pull up again. This is a compilation video that I had done at this point 4 years ago. I listened to every single one of her police interviews, and I specifically listened for when she's describing Monday. So Monday, of course, the day that the district attorney is telling us that they were all dead. have to reiterate, we do not have a time of death for anybody. Thank you, Melissa Jade, gifted 1 membership. I'm scrolling back up. Oh, thank you. Gifted another one, and welcome to the members. And another one. Thank you, Melissa. I'm scrolling up. So if I missed anything like that, I'm discovering it now. Derek, member for 30 months. Has it been that long? My gosh. Thank you so much for your support and being here. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, just scrolling. So again, this is just a compilation of Nicole talking about Monday specifically. So here we go. We're going to listen to her, what she has to say. Give me a like on the video before we listen to her voice, because I don't know if many people are going to want to like it as soon as I start playing her voice.
I don't know. I mean, he didn't elaborate. Okay. He was just like, I mean, like I said, he always cleans the house, but even.
So for some context, because we started this so many streams ago, I think we played it a few different times. She's speaking about Chris said that he had to wash the kids' sheets because they smelled. Now, again, she's telling this to Agent Kobach in a phone interview weeks later. So first interview, she never mentions this. Second interview, she never mentions this. And then, as time goes on, she's suddenly realizing that he had mentioned the girl's bed smelled. Now, I think she's trying to kind of bring information to the table that is just not there. I think that at this point, she's sort of been told by the district attorney that she's going to be their star witness. And it's already come out in the media that he's confessed to killing them all in the house. So I think the stuff that she's bringing at this point in the conversations is kind of to align with that theory. I don't personally think that the kids' bed smelled. In fact, in the body cam footage, they're going around the room. The beds were not made. That was odd for one, but no one kind of mentioned like this room smells, nothing like that. So take that for what you will. Michelle says, if anything smells bad, it's MK, right? In that bikini.
If his kids were to be in diapers and like have accidents, like I just feel like the man keeps his house so clean, and she does too. They both must have to like coexist in a house that clean. But like, I just don't see anything in the house like smelling.
Okay. All right.
So that was why I brought that up, because I was like, whoa. Okay.
Very important. Thanks for remembering that.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm really trying to help you guys. I need you guys to help me too. Like,
yes,
we do this as a team, but just don't.
So the reason.
I don't know when this phone conversation happened. I think that this was Monday at some point as well. I think it might have even been the same phone conversation as him washing the sheets and everything. I think it might have been the same conversation. He informed me that her friend Nikki's son was at the house when the cops came, and that he was running all over the house and up and down in all the rooms. And at this point, I was like, oh, is anything missing? Because I was thinking on Monday that this girl had just left for the night. So I was like, well, maybe if she's staying with Nikki or somebody, maybe she forgot some stuff. So maybe.
I think so, Lamb's Bond 007. The lack of evidence in the house might mean the wife was drugged then unalived elsewhere. I personally believe that. Again, I can't say it 100%, but that's my theory. And I really, a lot of people, Allison right here, I don't think anyone died in that house. I agree, Tony. I don't think the girls were meant to be a part of the plan. I agree there. I'm curious how many people in chat and on replay think somebody died in the house. I will say I spoke to the realtor who sold the house, and some states require you to disclose with the buyers if a death has taken place in the house, right? Oddly enough, and of course it adds to more mystery, Colorado is not one of those states. So when I had asked her that, do you have to disclose if someone died in the house? Was that kind of on the deed or whatever when you sold it? She said they're not required to disclose that. So take that for what you will. Of course, it adds more mystery. Like, it couldn't have been a state where it was required. And she comes out and tells me in our conversations privately, like, yes, there was a death in the house. And yes, the new buyers knew it. Like, they just don't have to keep it on record. They don't have to disclose it. They don't even have to bring it up. So unfortunately, I didn't get my answered when I asked her that.
They're sending, they're like sending him in, like, hey, go get a toothbrush or go get this or go get that. Like, I didn't know. And so he's like, yeah, this little kid was like running all over my house and in all the different rooms in the house. And I was like, well, is anything missing? And he was like, well, I think there's some blankets missing from my kids' rooms, but I don't think he took them. I think she did.
Okay. So he said little kid. Do you know how old this man was or boy was?
Oh, Nikki's son? I don't know.
Okay.
I think he's like 10 or 12. Like, I think he's yeah. I don't know. I think he's like 10 or 12. Like, old enough to, like, process information and run around the house.
So he said he thought that.
Welcome, new member, Keenly. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. So I've seen a lot of mixed opinions about death in the house. So I'm just going to keep pulling them up on the screen. Again, everyone has their own opinion, and we don't even know whose is correct. But Lisa has a point. This we do know. Multiple cadaver dogs go through the house. Not one of them hit to death in the house, the garage, or the truck. And that is something that we know for a fact. Now, you could say, well, the dogs were maybe off that day. That's why they did more than one dog. But again, I'm feeling like I can trust the dogs more than I can trust the district attorney here. And the district attorney said everyone died in the house. And then once people discovered the shadows in Nate's camera that showed a child walking, the district attorney took that back and said, well, the kids left with Chris alive. So already that theory that everyone died in the house has been retracted by the district attorney himself. So yeah, he picked up one of the girls in the driveway, in my opinion. Absolutely. I fully believe that. And I believe since the dogs didn't hit, that is significant as well. Do you think he had Shanann drugged, put in the truck like he says, then he killed her? I just don't think that he put anyone in the truck. I don't see it in Nate's footage. When they're watching Nate's footage, when they're in Nate's house, none of them say like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Like, you're under arrest or I need to cuff you. They didn't see anything either. I believe she was taken out the back. No one was living in the back and no cameras were in the back. Matt Bond, good to see you. He said, I believe she died in the house. And Florida Bass Fishing, he's not here tonight because he's not available Friday nights. He goes out. But he believes something happened in the basement and perhaps Shanann died in the basement. Again, there was a hit by a dog near the bed in the basement. And then they brought in another dog to confirm that hit, and the second dog did not confirm it. So then that's always something that's like, well, then what was going on? Did the dog pick up on trauma, like a fight taking place or an ambush or what? Yeah, the weight in the truck did not change. And that, it's just, we don't really know. But those are just my beliefs. Did he murder the children in the house? I don't think so, but some people do. So, but again, no alert to death in the house by multiple dogs. In Nate's footage, you can't see much, but there is a point where you see a little shadow and he bends down and picks it up. So a lot of people have said that's the child, that's Bella. Like, we don't know, so it's kind of open for interpretation. So would it have gotten 12 jurors to get on board that everybody died in the house? I don't know. I think that's a lot of why they pushed for this plea deal, because certain things just were not going according to the district attorney's plan when things started unraveling. Adrian says, I think too, something happened in the basement.
The kid didn't take him, but that maybe Shanann had taken him.
Yes.
That's weird. Okay. So Nikki Sonny's like 10 to 12. And I'm just making some notes. Just a sec.
Take your time.
Okay. What else?
Oh, let me see. I don't know. I feel like I have a list in my head and I almost wrote it down. But
So,
I didn't put it up. It does.
Okay.
I don't know what else I was going to tell you. When we FaceTime too. So let me go back to that too. So
Okay.
I think all of this was on Monday. So I think both the comments about.
Now, can I also say, you guys just reminded me of another thing that we've kind of gone over in a live stream here as well. The theory that she was killed in the house and taken in the truck. Remember in the prison interview, Chris says, the girls, they saw her, Shanann, there, and they said, Daddy, it smells. And Chris says that he told, what did he say? They asked him, like, smelled like what or something like that. And he said it smelled like a skunk, which, to me, weed can smell like skunks. And yes, that is true about the chemicals found in her chest cavity bloodstream. Very suspicious, kind of lean towards her being sedated, in my opinion. So wait, let me just switch up my screen. Now, going back to, did Shanann die in the house? Was she wrapped in the sheet? Did she defecate in the sheet like Chris says in the prison interview? Chris is a liar. He lied numerous times in that prison interview. I'm mostly wanting to focus on this. So if what Chris says is true, that he wrapped her in a sheet, carried her down the stairs, and she defecated when she was in the truck, and the girls mentioned it smelled, I have a problem with that, because the sheet here has dirt on it. And in the discovery files, we pulled this up in another live stream, so I'm not going to do it tonight, but we have shown this. The agent who was in this photo, I'm assuming, or taking the picture, whoever came up with a supplemental report about this sheet, said it only had dirt on it and that it was a pattern in which it looked like someone was dragged. Now, if she defecated, remember, she's in a thong. She's in thong underwear. There should be fecal matter on that sheet if what Chris says is true. So this is where I go back to the prison interview is filled with lies. Oh my gosh, we've already been live an hour and 14 minutes. Wow. Okay, so the prison interview is filled with stuff that just doesn't match the evidence. And what I mean is, for example, him saying she released her bowels in the truck. Well, that should be on this sheet. She's wearing a thong. I mean, not to be graphic, but I mean, you know? So that's why I think there's certain things that he just lies about. Not sure why, but there was nothing on that sheet described by the agents in reference to bodily fluids, defecation, anything like that. So again, I just don't think she was dead in that truck. I just really don't. And again, no dog alerted to death at the truck. Tony says if she was killed in the bed, the mattress would have been soiled. Yeah. And it wasn't. Yeah, I know, Lisa. We'll have to get into that in another live stream. It does. It says that the fitted sheet was on the floor in the bedroom on Monday. So how is the fitted sheet found here days later? That's for another day. That's another rabbit hole for another day. Girl, are you a real investigator? I never thought of that. Thought of what? And no, I'm just someone who talks true crime on YouTube. I'm okay with that. Was it a sheet from the girl's bed? No, it wasn't. This matched the patterns for the rest of the bedding on the king size master bedroom. All right, back to that wretched voice. I know, Valerie. Valerie says, make it make sense. I wish I could. I've been trying to for the last, I don't know, since this case broke in 2018. I think that's why we're all here years later, and people have asked me to go through this because I'm already moved on to other cases. Like, there's a missing autistic boy named Sebastian that I've been following and I want to cover. But here we are on Watts. I trust Amber way more than my news and the mainstream media. Amber looks at all angles. They're just reading off a teleprompter. And the media here was so off base. I mean, reporting that Chris had multiple affairs with another man, with another woman, and there was no evidence to back it up. And yet the mainstream media was putting it out there. I mean, I can't help but wonder who fed the media those stories. Was it Rourke trying to make it seem like, that he was just a serial cheater, etc.? Because Scott Peterson was. He was a serial cheater, and that worked against him. Were they trying to paint Watts to be the same way? I think so. I'm starting to feel like there was 2 to 3 others involved that night of the murders. I do too. They went with whatever Chris and the district attorney said. Yep. Oh, gosh. I know. It's very infuriating.
The blankets and the sheets were on that first phone call on Monday, and then directly after that phone call, there was like a brief FaceTime. And when I FaceTimed him, he was laying on a bed that didn't have any sheets on it.
Okay.
And I remember, and he was like in just like a little wife beater top, and he didn't really say much. It was like he wanted me to talk to him. He's like, I just wanted to see your face. And he wanted me to talk to him, but he was kind of quiet. And actually, that was when I got off the phone with him and went and did laundry. And then I would call him back on the phone because when we were FaceTiming, it was kind of weird. I was like, I don't really know where this is going. You're not really having a conversation with me.
So he was just removed. He wasn't very engaged in the conversation.
He was just really fixated on me. I bet you if I wouldn't have talked, he would have been okay with it.
Just staring at you?
Yeah. I mean, it was just it was really brief too. It was super short, and I was just this is not going anywhere. And I remember telling him I will call you back, but let me go do some laundry. So I got out of bed and went and threw some clothes in the dryer that I forgot to put in the dryer prior to laying down. And then I don't know, I think I might have did like one or two other little quick things, and then I got back in bed and then called him back on the phone, and that's when that second long phone call starts.
Okay. All right, great. Anything else?
Off the top of my head, I don't really think. So Monday, I think probably the most important conversation that I had with him after all of that took place was that first phone conversation on Monday night, like the later one. Remember I told you were telling me there's two big ones?
Right.
And the first one was the one where he mentioned the sheets, the smelly sheets with his kids, and that was also the one where he was telling me he was going to go get his wife's wedding ring appraised. That same conversation, I don't remember exactly how he phrased this. I don't remember what led to this, but he told me something about he mentioned that he had told, I don't know what he said. He said something about the separation and how she was okay with the fact that he wanted a separation, or that something like that. And I remember thinking to myself, wait a minute, what? Oh God, I'm drawing a blank. Here's the deal: is he had been telling me the whole time that I was spending time with him that he was getting separated, and he kept saying that he was the one who initially initiated the separation, and then that it was more of a mutual thing. He said that he was the one who had initially brought it up, before we had met, and then she was on board with it, where she was just I'm not happy either, let's do this. And then I remember telling you guys that when he was going to go to North Carolina, I kind of backed away from the situation, and I was like, hey, I think you should try to fix things with her because you have a really beautiful life with her, and I think you should try to fix stuff. And he kept telling me I don't want to, I don't think she wants to, and I was just like, please try, just please try. I just thought he had such a beautiful life, and and I was willing to just leave his life. I was like, if you work things out with your wife, I'm gone. And and that's fine, and he'd always be like, well, what about us? And I'd be like, don't worry about us. Try to fix stuff with her. And he said, okay, I will. And then when he went to North Carolina, he told me that he sat down and had a conversation with her, and that he told her that he wanted to fix it. That is what he said to me. He told her that he wanted to fix it, and she said no, that she still wanted the separation, and that she was ready to file for divorce. So I was under the impression when he got home from North Carolina that the divorce was filed. That was what I was under the impression. And so then on Monday, when we were on that one phone call where he was just saying all sorts of weird stuff, he again, I don't remember exactly what was said, but it was something along the lines of she was okay with the fact that I wanted the separation. Right. And then I remember asking him, I was like, wait a minute, when you were in North Carolina, you told me that you tried to fix it with her, and she was the one who said that she didn't want to fix it. Okay. And he's like, no, and then he goes, no, I just told her that I still wanted, to continue.
I'm sorry, I don't have to explain how much this is BS, because it seems like chat and everyone, whoever listens to this, understands that she's just lying through her teeth. I do have to kind of bring it up because it's the theme of the live stream. While he's in North Carolina and she's saying, I told him fix things with your wife, she's sending him nudes and he's saving them to the secret calculator app.
With the separation. And I'm just thinking in my head, he lied to me. God, he fucking lied to me. He lied so much.
Okay. So that just struck you as another lie?
Yeah, so that one I don't, and then now I'm seeing the news where he's telling everybody that he separated from her on, that he said he was he told her he wanted a separation on the Monday that she went missing. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, he told me that he had already had that conversation with her before I was even in his life.
Well, and so not to cause you any more stress, but so when you're talking to him on Monday, this is Monday, right? This isn't Sunday. This is Monday.
No, this is Monday.
So this is after the event. This is after the murders.
Yes.
He is telling you that she mentioned that it was she was okay with the separation, although you know now that that wasn't accurate. That was something different than he had previously told you, and certainly she couldn't have been really saying anything, unfortunately. So, I mean, he's making up stories after his wife is deceased. Is that a fair statement? Is that I'm kind of trying to follow where you're going.
I don't honestly. It just struck me as odd because I don't know if he was talking about the conversation they had that day or if he was talking about North Carolina. But either way,
it just struck you as
weird. It struck me weird because he said that he was the one that was like pushing for it now, and I was just thinking in the back of my head, like he made it sound like when I first got into his life that he was the one who had brought up the separation, but that she was like super gung-ho about it. Like he made it sound like she was all on board with it. And then when they were in North Carolina, he's the one who said that he tried to fix it and she didn't want anything to do with it. So it was weird to me when he was saying that he was the one that initiated the separation, because I'm like, wait a minute, like, and I think it was weird to me because I think he was referring to either whatever happened on Monday morning or he was referring to whatever happened in North Carolina. And I was just really confused because I was like, well, at that point, I thought she was the one pushing you away, like not you pushing her.
Gotcha. Okay.
This makes sense. Nothing like why she would be there. Any of this makes sense.
All right, I'm going to rewind that. You know, that was a very important part of that interrogation. None of this makes any sense. Why she would be there, none of it makes any sense. He was never asked why who would be there. What do you mean by that? And it's just infuriating. And then we'll call it a night, guys, because I'm not even exaggerating. I get a headache listening to Nicole. I really do. There is no exaggeration. I get a headache listening to that woman. It's just too much. It's too much.
Because I was like, well, at that point, I thought she was the one pushing you away, like not you pushing her.
Gotcha. Okay.
This makes sense. Nothing like why she would be there. Any of this makes sense.
All right. So Lisa says she had to take 2 Excedrins. I know it's brutal. Everyone gets a headache from NK. It's true. I'm surprised people were even sticking around to watch. Why would she be there? None of it makes any sense. It's just too much. They never ask him to elaborate on anything. They don't, especially when he throws out things like that, or when he says, I got an alert that my garage door was open, but when Nicole Atkinson showed up, it was closed. I mean, that was something that he said over and over too. Another thing that he said over and over that was never pressed is he says, unless she went out the back, but we never saw her leave out the front. It's terrible. I really appreciate you, Margie, and everyone else who's been here tonight. So that didn't happen in the truck. And if that happened in the truck, then there would be more on the sheet than dirt, Pine, Barren, Patriot. So the coffin birth didn't happen in the truck or in that sheet. That happened in the grave. Once decomp starts to take place and your body starts to fill with gas and you're pregnant, the gases pushed the baby out. So it didn't happen as he's transferring her body within minutes of her death. So gas has to build up from decomp for a baby to be, I know this is very terrible to say, but for it to be pushed out, it takes gas and a force to do that. So that's also been speculated on. We will never know the answer to that as well. But all right. Thank you, Roxanne, and all my other moderators and everyone who donated memberships and super chats. Thank you so much, guys, for being here tonight. We do this once a week. Usually it's not Friday night. It's usually Thursday. But we will be back covering other cases next week. And then this will be thrown in on Thursday or maybe even Friday. Who knows? You guys let me know what night you like it, Thursday or Friday. Let me know. Again, Florida Bass Fishing, one of my main supporters and moderators, can't be here on Friday night. So that's why I kind of put it on Thursday night. But anyways, everyone just try to get some rest after listening to NK. We all need to kind of decompress a little bit. Have a smoke. We'll get to the evidence locker stuff again soon. We just kind of ran out of time tonight. And thank you so much, guys, for the well wishes. And you guys have a wonderful Easter weekend for those who celebrate. And we'll be back next week to talk. And yeah, join me for other cases too outside of Watts. Like we dig deep into other things too. Okay. So we'll talk soon, guys. Bye.